Howdy all, and welcome back to another episode of the Sanctified Podcast, the show where we explore the stories of various saints throughout history and learn about what they did and how we came to recognize them as saints today. Today, we're going to explore the life of Saint Moses the Black, also known as Moses the Strong, a hardened criminal who found a better way. So, right off the bat, I just want to say that I know it may be a little confusing referring to Moses the Strong as just Moses, but just bear in mind that for this episode, I'm not talking about the Moses from the Bible, I'm talking about Moses the Strong. All right, so Moses the Strong was born around 330. We don't know many details of his early life because he was actually a slave to an Egyptian government official, but we don't know who exactly. Moses had a tendency to steal things when he was young, but then in his early adulthood, he was accused of murder. Whether or not the accusations held any truth is anybody's guess, really, but it was enough for his owner to abandon him and essentially throw him away, which, I don't know. To be honest, it's kind of weird saying that because how could somebody, I know the times were different, but how could somebody treat another person as essentially an object, just like trash, like he was thrown away? But that's not the point of the episode. I want to get into messy politics or whatever. So we're just going to focus on Moses' story after these events. Moses was a very large and strong man, and he intimidated a lot of the people that he came across just because of his stature. He used his strength to continue stealing from others like he had in the past, but he soon found a band of criminals to join who kind of shared his goals. His physique aided him pretty good in their criminal activities, and he quickly climbed to the top and became the leader of the gang. He led about 75 criminals in the Nile Valley, stealing from the communities and terrorizing locals. But this lifestyle didn't last forever, and Moses did change his ways. Now, there are two stories that attempt to explain Moses' conversion, and to be honest, I don't know which one I think is more believable because they're both a pretty abrupt shift from the crime-ridden life he was living to what he turned to. The first suggestion is that Moses was always a God-fearing man, and he would regularly face the sun and say, "If you are God, let me know, and you, the God whom I know not, lead me to you." And this suggests that he believed in God, but he didn't know how to become closer to him. Though he knew the sun god worshipped by others that he grew up around wasn't the true God. Eventually, he heard about a group of monks living in Cetus and decided to journey out to find them. And as a result, find God. But I feel like if this is the case, he would have known stealing was wrong and he would have sought out the monks before the criminals after he left his previous life, which is why I'm a little hesitant about this theory. Not that I believe this story a whole lot more than that story, but I kind of like this one a little bit better. And this other theory is that Moses tried to rob a shepherd, but the shepherd's dog barked and alerted the man to Moses, so he ran away and hid from being robbed. Moses was pretty angry about this, and he vowed to return to steal from the man. Maybe that night or a few nights after, Moses clenched his sword in his teeth and swam across the Nile River, which was said to be fully flooded and over a mile wide at the time. Now, that's a lot of swimming and a lot of time for Nile crocodiles to attack. But Moses made it across, and he made it to the man's encampment. But again, the dog barked and alerted the shepherd. Even angrier this time, Moses stole 4 of the man's sheep and swam back across the Nile with them. When he made it back across, he slaughtered and butchered the sheep, eating some of the meat and selling the rest and the skins of the sheep so that he could buy wine and just kind of splurge a bit. Fearing capture by the authorities, though, he fled to the monks in Cetus to hide. Being monks, they allowed him to stay, they didn't turn him in. But the issue I have with this story is, why was Moses scared of the authorities after stealing the sheep, but never before? Whatever the true story is for Moses to turn towards God, and maybe it's something totally different from these two stories, we know what happened after he got to the monks in Cetus. Now, I have to admit, I do like the second story a little bit better, just because it's kind of a cooler story, but I don't think either story sounds significantly more believable than the other. It was a slow process for Moses when he joined the monks. He wasn't really sure if he could be redeemed from the countless crimes that he committed while he led a gang, but he never gave up hope that he could be saved. He kept praying and repenting his actions, frequently locking himself in a cell to be alone with his prayers to God. On one such day, when he was in a cell all by himself, a group of robbers attempted to overpower Moses, But they didn't realize who they were messing with. He easily subdued them, tied them up. Problem was, he didn't really know what to do with them after that, so he dragged them over to other monks and asked them for advice. And it's quite possible the robbers recognized him after they attacked, because records say that they too repented and converted that very day, joining Moses and the other monks. When it was time for Moses' baptism, he confessed all of his sins and wrongdoings publicly. And observing this was St. Macarius, and he saw that there was a black tablet that appeared containing all of Moses' sins. Then an angel approached the tablet. As Moses confessed each of his sins, the angel would wipe one off the tablet and it would glow white. This continued until the tablet was completely white and Moses had confessed all of his sins. But no matter what Moses did, he still felt that his previous transgressions outweighed any praying and penance that he performed. Then, one morning, St. Isidore, the abbot of the monastery, brought Moses to the roof to watch the sunrise. As the sun's rays broke the dark horizon, Isidore said, "Only slowly do the rays of the sun drive away the night and usher in a new day. And thus, only slowly does one become a perfect contemplative." And a contemplative is somebody who is completely devoted to prayer. This resonated with Moses, and he strove even more to devote himself to the Lord. Moses' actions in the future reflected his spiritual growth. He began completing rounds of the various cells of the community at night, and he'd carry water from the well to each brother. But then, one night, Moses felt a heavy blow to his back, and he dropped to the ground. When he was discovered the next day, the brothers thought that he was dead, but he could still communicate. Moses had been constantly targeted by demons because of his past, and they continuously tried to tempt him to sin again. He battled them through prayer and vigils, though his body grew weak, and his spiritual battles with the demons persisted throughout his life. But he knew the power that supported him from heaven was stronger than anything the demons could do to him. After his brothers discovered him the morning after he was found just sitting by the well, he told them that he was struck by a demon. The brothers brought him to a private cell that he could recover, and it took over a year for him to fully recover. When he did, he went to St. Isidore, and Isidore blessed him. He also commanded Moses to receive the holy mysteries, and after he did, Moses held power over the demons because he survived their attacks and he knew what it was like and how he could fight back. Moses' pious fame grew throughout his time at Sardis, and many monks sought him out to learn from him. Though he was happy to help his brothers, he really just wanted to be left alone. He talked to Father Macarius, and Father Macarius told him to go to Petra in northern Sardis because it was barren and difficult to get to. So Moses went. When he arrived, he carved a cave to stay in the rocks, and he prayed there and meditated on his prayer for 6 years. Eventually, Moses did return, and when he did, he was ordained as a priest by Pope Theophilus. Then, he worked in Sardis helping St. Isidore. Later on, Moses had guests visit him when the abbot had ordered a fast for the monks. Moses prepared food for the guests, and other monks there in his community felt that he broke the required fast. But they soon realized that while Moses broke the human commandment to observe the fast, he maintained the divine commandment of hospitality. He really did no wrong. He was just being a good host, as the Lord told him to be. It wasn't long after that when a brother of the monastery messed up, and Moses was asked to attend a discussion to decide the penance that the man must perform. But Moses didn't go. He was asked again to meet with the other monks, and this time he did agree to go. But first, he had to do something. He grabbed a basket, filled it with sand, and carried it to the meeting place. When he arrived, the others asked him what he was doing. Like, why are you carrying a basket of sand, man? It's just leaking out through the gaps in the wicker. And his answer was simple, but very profound. He said, "My sins run out behind me, and I do not see them. But today, I'm coming to judge the errors of another." And with that, the brother who was going to be punished was forgiven, and everyone moved on, realizing that they were a little misguided in their desire to just punish this guy for a little mistake. In 407, Berbers planned an attack on Sardis. The monks wanted to defend themselves, but Moses said that it wasn't their place to stand and fight, and so he sent most of them off so that they could stay safe. Moses was 75 at this time, and he remained behind with a group of 7 other dedicated monks to face the Berbers. When the Berbers attacked, they attacked with fervor, and they slaughtered the entire group. There was one person hiding nearby who witnessed this and said they saw crowns descending from heaven onto their bodies, showing that they earned their places in heaven. Moses' body remains at the El Baramos Monastery in Cetus to this day, and is kept next to the body of St. Isidore. Before staying behind to die by the hand of the Berbers, Moses said, "The words of our Savior must be fulfilled. All who take by the sword will perish by the sword." Matthew 26:52. Moses' feast day is August 28th, and he is the patron saint of Africa. He's also come to be recognized as a patron saint of forgiveness and nonviolence for the way that he was able to change his life's path from criminal actions to spiritual actions. What do you think of St. Moses? I hope you found his story interesting, because it's pretty cool to hear about such a redemption story. How he went from being treated as less than nothing, essentially, to being promised a place in heaven. That's pretty awesome. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on St. Moses, and thank you for listening. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe, download the episode, like, comment, share it with your friends, or send me a suggestion on a saint that I can check out by emailing me at sanctifiedpodcast@proton.me. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Podbean, and more. Just search for the Sanctified Podcast, and I should have a few episodes there. If I don't, let me know, and I'll work on getting some up there. Take care, and I hope you have a wonderful day.